The Chivas years were tough years, and years I'm sure you appreciate now in your development to where you are now. What was the toughest part about that transition from college to pro and going to a team that didn't have a whole lot of success?
For me, I was just so excited about going into a professional environment. I really wasn't sure what was, what I was getting myself into. And I think it was about a week or two before the season where the other goalkeeper had torn his ACL, and basically the coach at the time, Thomas Rongin, kind of looked at me and said, "Listen, you're going to be our guy." And I said, "Okay." And the toughest part was the fact that results weren't going our way. Like I said, I was used to winning. I was used to being successful, and it was really difficult. And for me, being 20 years old, I took it personally that we weren't doing very well, and I didn't think I had made the right decision to leave college. I started to doubt myself, maybe 3-4 games into the season, and there's probably a point I still remember it today. We were playing New England away, and I think it was 5th or 6th game, but New England away. It was a cold, wet day in Boston, and it was 0-0 the entire game. I'd pulled off a few saves. We ended up losing 1-0, but after the game, I remember thinking to myself that, I can be successful in this. I've made the right choice, and this is something that I need to hang in there and give it a go, because I know this is where I'm meant to be.
What went into the process and decision to leave MLS and go try your luck playing in England?
That's the best of the best. Any player wants to challenge themselves. They want to push themselves, and so for me, that was always the goal, to try and get to Europe, and specifically England, because watching the Premier League on TV in the U.S., the buzz around the games, the excitement that comes with supporting the teams over there, that was just something I wanted to be a part of, and so that was a big goal of mine, to try and make it.
How awesome was last year for you when you think about there was doubts, people saying you should move, you decided to stay and fight for your spot because I guess you knew in your heart what you were capable of, and now I get joy seeing that number one on your back, and then last year getting all the accolades and being regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the league. What was that like for you last year in terms of seeing it all come together?
It was nice. You can't lie about it. You have that success, and there were a lot of people that put a lot of hard work into helping me get there, and so it just wasn't myself, but to have it come off the way it did, like you said, especially going back to Villa and not starting the first 2 games of the year, and people saying, "Oh, he made a big decision and he got it wrong, he made a mistake," and then to go back and have the year that I did, I was very lucky, and it was nice to be able to prove so many people wrong, that I can be over there and I can be playing week in and week out and helping the team and being successful.
You've obviously used the success the last couple of years to really, really cement your place with the U.S. men's national team. When you think to your career, we'll start with the first. What do you remember about your first cap?
It was my first cap was in Dallas at Frisco, in Frisco, at Pizza Hut Park, and I want to say we were playing Guatemala, and it was under Bruce Arena, and it was the end of the January camp before the 2006 World Cup, and I remember thinking to myself, as stupid as it was, I remember thinking to myself, hold on, I have a chance to make a World Cup team, and not even understanding of what was going into it. So, but it was freezing. I think we won 4-5-0. It was absolutely freezing down in Texas, and but I remember that was probably the first game that I ever was nervous for, and even during the game, I was nervous, and I was so glad I didn't have anything to do, because I just remember thinking, representing your country, this is the biggest honor. I mean, you get goosebumps talking about it. It's a huge honor.
You mentioned your first game in Dallas. I was freezing cold. I think that's an easy segue into the snow game. And that game went to the top of the list of the most memorable games. And you're a big part of that game, obviously. When you think back to that game, what are some of your memories?
Obviously the snow, that's the first and foremost, and then the result. You know, it was a huge result for us, especially after the first games of the Hex. So for us to have the conditions the way they were, and to have such an American crowd behind us, it was such a special game in so many ways. So to be a part of that is something I'll never forget.
What was your preparation like? Because you knew it was going to be your game and the Mexico game were going to be your games. What was your preparation like and your mindset knowing that you were going to get a great opportunity to really get the qualifying campaign on track?
I was already feeling confident, you know, from the season that I'd been having over in England. And so I knew going into those games that you know, I was no longer a kid. I'm a, you know, a senior player, if you will, both for my club and now with the U.S. team. You know, I've been around the team now for a few years, and it was a time to step up. You know, obviously, you know, with Timmy not being able to play, it was going to be a big chance for me. And mentally going into the game, especially the snow game with the conditions the way they were, you know, I knew it was going to be a different sort of challenge of being focused for 90 minutes.